Hello, everyone. I am here with Ansley Johnson, 24 authors in 12 hours continues our October edition. All things scary, spooky goes bump in the night. And Ansley, you wrote, and you're in the process of writing, it's a trilogy, The
Yep.
Tempestuous Lullabies. I love this
Yes.
name. Can you share with us what that's about?
Well, they're kind of telling stories about how, not everything in life goes perfect. And, some people travel down some really dark roads, some things that can, really change who they are foundationally as a person. And my friend who helped me name it, she had been looking up, some words and everything, and we came across lullabies because, they kind of had like that poetic feel to them, and tempestuous, which I would have to look it back up to get the exact definition because I can't pull it from the top of my head. But we felt like the overall feel of that title kind of came across with the theme that I was trying to make in these stories. That, even in the darkest, of nights and everything, you can still have that light of salvation pull you out, so to speak. So that's kind of where we came up with that. And yeah, it was more her
So
work than
you
my work in
have
that
book
one.
one. Yeah, you have
Yes.
book one. Let's talk about book one a little bit, and then we'll go more and talk a lot more detail into book two, which you have coming
Okay.
out November 1st.
Yes, ma'am. So, book one, actually, whenever I first started writing it, which was about 4 years ago, it had a bit of a different storyline going on. It didn't quite go the same way as whenever I picked it back up. About 6 months ago, I played around with it, rewrote a little bit of it. But the initial was just going to be more of like a fantasy, more of like a fantasy story, and not so much of just like a fiction, like redemption story. It still has that fantasy aspect in it, but not so heavily as what was first thought of. So whenever I picked it back up, I just couldn't figure out where I wanted the story to go. So I, kind of went all the way back to square one again and started to build it back up. And it took on more of a, I'm trying to think of the right way to say it. Like, she had all this longing for this life that she felt was just right there within her reach. And then out of nowhere, it just all came crashing down around her. And the man that she thought she had married was not who he really was. And she finds herself in a really tight spot and has no idea how to get out until the very end, like the last three chapters kind of draws it all together. But that one was really about, escaping from those dark places and not staying lost in your own need for revenge.
I think it's such an important point there. Like, don't get stuck
Hmm.
in revenge. So, I'm going to
Yeah.
share your next book. So,
Yes.
all of our readers out there, please go ahead and download this because this is going to really help the algorithms. It's all about the algorithms, right?
It
So,
is. That is so important.
so the Lullaby of Pressed Petals. Let's talk about this one.
This one is personally one that I'm super, super excited to get out there. It is a story of lost love and how people can be human and make human mistakes. And when they admit and work on themselves, sometimes they can find that life has a way of working out, and that lost love does not always mean that you can never find love again. It is Lillian, who is the female main character. She is very personal to me. I feel like I mirrored myself a lot in her. And obviously, I'm married now to my high school sweetheart, and it's really like a personal story, almost like a retelling of our love story, and how we thought that it would never happen. We went our separate ways, and then I think it was like 8 years down the road, we ran into each other again, and it was like not a day had gone by. And I just felt really inspired by that. So that's kind of what inspired me to write The Lullaby of Pressed Petals.
And this book is set in New Orleans.
Yes, ma'am.
And
I live.
go ahead.
I'm
Share,
sorry.
share with us a
I
little bit
live. I live.
about this
I live.
place.
I live right outside of New Orleans. I actually live in Hammond, Louisiana, and I just love the historical anchor of New Orleans. I mean, you can see it in so many different like literature that people write. It's just a city that is full of life and jazz music and the food and the people. I just love being in Louisiana. I love being from Louisiana, and it's probably one of my favorite things about Louisiana. So I did use it as my anchor in my first three books.
And I think that's an important. One of the authors that we spoke to earlier today grounded a lot of his work in his local area, to the point where actually local businesses were asking him to be included in his books, which I think is super
Oh,
exciting.
that's cool.
Yeah, and I think New Orleans is just such a great area. I lived there for 2 years in the last century, and just a fun place and a great place for
It
these kind
it
of
is. It is full of
dark.
history. It is rich in literature, music. It is just a fantastic place to be so close to because we are 45 minutes away from it, and we probably go just to walk through the historical areas several times a year.
So let's talk a little bit about what inspired you in the sense of your characters. Do you base them off of anyone? Do you base them off research? Is it sort of a combination? How do you come up with these
Um,
characters?
Sometimes my characters are based off of people that I personally know. Like my third book for the Tempestuous Lullabies is actually loosely based off of one of my friends. The Fallen Star, which is the third book of the Lullaby series, is about a speakeasy singer. And one of my friends who comes to church with me, she is one of our worship leaders. So I kind of loosely based that character around her and what her personal struggle was in life. And then I have another series that I'm working on of Scottish Highland slow burn romances. And I've just taken bits and pieces from some of my friends and family's stories and personalities to kind of piece together, these characters to make them have that kind of depth of like a real person, but still like being a fictional story.
So, Ansley, who just joined us here?
This is Matilda. This
Oh,
is We call her she just kind of popped up out of nowhere. She was our cat distribution system, Stray. My kids were playing on our back property and she just spontaneously arrived out of the grass meowing and never left. Became just, we have two other ones too, but they're probably outside right now exploring.
it is always good to have a guest star in any of our
I
interviews.
can
Who's lucky?
I can never sit anywhere for very long without her coming around.
So she's a good writer.
Especially my computer. She's not a very good writer. No, she actually likes to lay across the keyboard and prevent me from writing anything.
So let's talk
That
about that. Writing is a challenge. One of the things I do is I also coach writers and help them when they're struggling and going through writer's block and everything else. And one of the things I always talk about is having routines, rituals. What do you do?
yes,
How do
that
you
is
get
so
to
important.
do this?
So I'm actually a homeschooling mom too. I have three little ones, and my oldest two are second grade and kindergarten. So whenever we sit down to do our homeschooling in the morning, that's mostly whenever I do like I call it my background work, checking emails. I might make a few Facebook posts or, try to do some light editing or making my chapter headers, all that stuff. And I'll just do that side by side with them while they're working on their schoolwork because I can pause and, flop back and forth between the two without it interrupting me too much. My real writing happens in the very, very wee hours of the night when I should be sleeping and I am choosing to fill my own cup instead. And then I regret it every single morning whenever my alarm goes off and I have to get up and make my coffee. But it is well worth it, and it is very fulfilling. Before I started writing, because I just picked back up on writing 6 months ago, I had been a short story writer like in high school. I submitted a bunch of stories to win prizes and everything, like scholarship money. And I stopped whenever I became a mom because I just couldn't find the time. And then I finally just, I don't know, just found a rhythm that really worked. And 6 months later, and I had two novellas from it, or three novellas, two and a half almost.
So let's talk that a little bit more. I love what inspires people to write. So you have a love from high school. Is there any particular authors or writers or teachers that influenced you
Um, I actually did have a teacher she was my sophomore and my senior English teacher. Her name was Miss Colbinson, and she used to get on to me all the time because I had my book constantly under the desk and I was reading all the time whenever, and I did this in every single class. I was always reading when I should have been paying attention and I should have been doing my work. And she was constantly coming up behind me and whispering, I love that you're reading, but you need to pay attention to my lesson. And she was actually the one who told me about a lot of the scholarship submission forms that I had done for all of my short stories. She was the one who actually went and found a couple of those for me and believed in me whenever I didn't think that my work was good enough to, submit for anything. And she was the one who finally pushed me to do it. And I won three scholarships from it. So that was really inspiring to know that, someone out there believed in me even whenever I didn't. And it was just it made all the difference to just continue going. And even though I didn't publish anything until recently, like having had all of that inspiration from my smaller works that fed into my bigger works wouldn't have happened had she not pushed me to put myself out there the first time.
No, it's so important. And shout out to all the teachers out there,
Yes.
the librarians, those people who are underpaid in inspiring the next generation of readers and writers and educators, because such an important, incredible thing that
they
people.
really they really don't know how long that kind of stuff can stick with somebody.
I mean, definitely they change the world and don't get enough credit or enough money, right?
No, definitely not. My mom's a teacher too.
Yeah, one of my favorite Far Sides, and I hate to digress from your interview. I definitely want to focus on that, but it showed for the Far Side little clip. It just showed these teachers in a limo, and then it showed two football players, with their pads and their helmets, and it said, "Oh, those teachers who make all the money," And I was like, "This
Mhm.
is really the way it should be," like.
It really should be. I mean, they're helping build the new foundation. I mean, children are the future. So, I mean, if you're not feeding into them, then what are you feeding into? Entertainment?
Well, and reading is entertainment, and so there's a lot into it. I just think that when you really look at what if you can read, you can change the world, right? And
Yeah.
so much of what teachers do for that. Let's talk a little bit about your writing journey. So once you write, that's kind of like, oh, good, you're finished. But that's really just the start of this next phase of like editing and publishing
Yes.
and marketing your books. Let's share that part of your journey.
I feel like I have a bit of a different approach than most people because I don't get a lot of time to sit down and initially write my manuscript. So I do a lot of dictation in the beginning, kind of telling my story out loud to create my first draft. And then I go through and, make it more of a manuscript and go through. And my editing is probably what takes the longest because I do it myself. I just have all of my little works in progress just sitting in my Google Docs waiting for me to polish them. And then the marketing was actually what I was not expecting to take up the most of my time. I did not think that I would have to learn the TikTok algorithm or have to post multiple videos and talk. I did not think that as a writer, I would have to become very comfortable with talking to people. It's so different when you can write, write, write all day long, put it to bed at night, wake up in the morning and, go through and with a comb and fine tune it and polish it and perfect it into something. And you have multiple takes until you decide, okay, this is good enough for me to go ahead and publish. it's not the same when you talk to people. So that was the one thing I was not expecting to have to do whenever I became a self-published author.
I mean, such an important point. And even traditionally published authors, I've had a few of them on the show as well. And the marketing is definitely, you go
It
out
is a
on,
full-time job.
and so I do want to make a shameless plug. Anybody out there, we do have the links out here for Ansley. I'm going to put my links in as well in a little bit for my books. But the one best thing that you can do for an author is leave a review. It is
Yes,
so incredibly important.
absolutely.
Go ahead and share some more on that, Ansley.
I remember when I first published my book, my mom was my very first review on Amazon, and it took me weeks to get I think I have 10 total reviews right now, and it's been out for 6 weeks. And all of those reviews are just so important because it just shows potential readers that you can trust that this is a good story. Other people have enjoyed it, and you can't do that without, writing the review and submitting it. And it is just, it's so helpful. People don't realize that. Like, you can share all day long, you can like a post all day long, but leaving your true thoughts on a story that you read so that other people can be like, hey, if they liked it, maybe I will too, is probably the biggest help that you can do for an indie author, or for any author.
I mean, it's amazing how much it impacts the algorithms, how it impacts your book getting seen. So definitely, if you're going to read any of the books from any of our authors today, please take the time not just to read it, but also
Yes.
to give them that review, because this is, this is how we make a living, right? And this is
Yeah.
how we're able to get our word out there. And so definitely want to share the importance of that. Let's talk a little bit more. So we're talking about reviews. What do you want a reader to take away from your stories? What do you want them to feel and think?
That they're just not alone. I know all of my stories touch on different struggles, and I just want people to know that no matter what your struggle is, that you are not alone, and there's never somewhere that you can go that you're not worthy of being loved, and that your story is not worthy of being told.
I think that's so important. I mean, just a positive message. And let's talk about who is your audience. Who is sort of your ideal reader that you're writing for?
Um, let's say somebody just searching for their place in the world. I was a very lost person, and that's kind of where a lot of the inspiration from my stories have come from, is personal life struggles. And I felt like I was very lost for a very long time. And when I finally found myself again, and I started telling people my personal story and the struggles that I had gone through and how I overcame them, they started opening up to me about their personal struggles. And I found that I had a lot in common with more people than I ever thought I would. There was people who had walked completely different paths in their lives, and yet we still somehow managed to experience a lot of the same things and have a lot of things that we could talk about and learn about from each other. And that's really who my audience is. Just anyone who feels like they are alone. I just
I
want them
think
to know
that's
that they're
pretty
not
much
alone.
everyone at some point, right?
Right? Yeah.
So for those of you out there, I went ahead. I've shared the links to the books that I have written. Those are on sale today on Kindle. Absolutely free if you want to download them. Definitely take a look. I definitely take a look at Ansley's book. Like I said, hers is available. Book 2 for pre-order. Book 1 you can read right now, and highly
Yes.
recommend you start reading book 1 so that by the time book 2 is ready for download, you can get that, and this will help her out a lot. Leave reviews. As we mentioned, this is super, super important. One of the things I want to highlight as well is 24 Authors in 12 Hours is an author helping author event. And we do take donations. So if you want to donate, we are, of course, always happy that people are willing to donate. And the other thing is we have some really great 24 Authors in 12 Hours merch. So we have these wonderful little coffee mugs, we have beer mugs, wine glasses, all kinds of things So definitely take a look at that. Support us. Support the other authors. Not only do we do 24 authors in 12 hours, but we also have a Spotify channel where all these will be shared with as well. And we do Out of Cycle called the Author's Cut. So, for instance, one of the people who brought a couple of the authors here today, his wife is having a baby. And so he is like, let's film this in advance because you know how babies are. They're very unpredictable. And
Yeah.
so and so we did that. So definitely want to make sure for those of you out there and watching in the future, let's talk a little bit more, Ansley, about, do you have any upcoming events, book signings, anything else you want to share about your upcoming books?
I do have the third book for the Tempestuous Lullabies trilogy coming out, projected for December. And I am not have anything on the books yet, but I am working with our local library on getting in for a book signing table, and I'm trying to get into a couple of local, like privately owned bookstores, but I'm so new, there's nothing quite yet. I'm still working on getting all that stuff out there.
You're wonderful. And just a reminder to everybody, when it comes to indie authors, a lot of this is a lot of love, right? It's a lot of
Yes.
just putting things together.
You're putting yourself out there a lot and hoping that someone takes the bait.
Well, and it's like you said, there's a book in everyone, and not every book is going to resonate with every person. So definitely remember when you do read it, like, this was somebody's effort and this was somebody's love. And if you haven't written a book yourself, you don't know the struggle, because the struggle is real.
Don't. And the anxiety that you get when you finally put it out there and you're like, oh, I hope somebody likes it, and then you finally start getting those positive reviews in, it's like, at least someone liked it. All that effort wasn't for nothing.
Yeah, and one of the things I tell people when I'm coaching them is negative reviews are not necessarily a bad review either. One of my favorite reviews, if you look at my book, The Project Manager, Life is a Project, I got a 1-star review, and the person said, "This does not help me study for my PMP exam at all." And I was like, "Nor was it intended to." So the book be what it's supposed to be. This is a business fable about how to apply project management to your life. And obviously, if you're going to go study physics, the Tempestuous Lullabies are not the book for you, right? And
so, no, it is not.
Definitely there's genre, there's audiences we're out here to reach. You are there in New Orleans with your cat, with your baby taking a nap. Is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap up today?
No, I think we covered everything that I wanted to talk about.
So much inspiration. I just love the name Tempestuous Lullabies, and this kind of like, it's coming into autumn, a great season to just take out your sweaters, and I think these are great books for reading by the fire with a cup of hot cider or cocoa or whatever your preferred autumn beverages, and petting your cat, reading a good book. This is that kind of book for that.
It is. It is such. They're quick reads. They're quick little weekend reads if you don't have a lot of time to commit to reading, a 1,000-page novel. They're perfect for that. Just little reading rut that people get into to help them get out of it.
Yeah, and so if you listen to our last speaker, A.K. Gibson, epic fantasies, thousands and thousands of pages. These books from Ansley, kind of the opposite, maybe kind of take them as a palate cleanser between books. If you're like, "Ooh, I can't read like another 1,000-page book right now," right? And so definitely that kind of balance between them. So we are going to wrap up this segment. I really want to thank everybody. Please like, subscribe, follow us. Feel free to donate and to get some really awesome merch. And don't forget, we have these amazing authors throughout the day. Definitely download their books, check them out. And just really honored to have you here today, Ansley.
It was an honor to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Ansley.